Welcome back. Today we're going to teach you a few different ways to paint maple trees. This is Acrylic Arts Academy. We teach the world to paint. All of these brushes will help us paint maple trees. A flat brush, a smaller round brush, and any of these types of filbert brushes which have the rounded top will help you out in creating the leaves for the maple trees. It's okay if they're a little well-loved, as these paintbrushes seem to be. Let's begin by creating the tree trunk. Let's use dark brown paint and a small round brush. We'll start creating an upward line that's sort of wiggly, and we'll split it in two, about 2 inches from the bottom of the canvas here. So notice that when we split this trunk in two, that the resulting two pieces are going to be thinner than the trunk itself. Let's keep this methodology in mind as we start to create the branches. We'll still be using the same color brown and either a small round brush, or you can switch to that small detailer brush or a small liner brush. Keeping in mind that each subsequent branch is going to be thinner than the previous piece. As you branch off, create thinner, wiggly, craggy lines. They can be angular, straight, or just a little curved if you like. Remember to use a light touch as you paint these branches. Add as many or as few branches as you like. It's time to let your painting dry before moving on. Once your painting has dried a bit, let's use these types of brushes. These are called filbert brushes. They've got a rounded top and they're going to help you quickly lay down some leaves on this tree. So let's start using a light touch and some burnt orange mixed with a little tiny bit of white, as we've done here. What we're doing is applying the paint at an angle. The paintbrush handle is at an angle and we're sort of just tapping on color. That's why you can see these cool crescent shapes that show up. When you layer these all together, some real magic starts to happen. It's your decision as the artist as to how many or how few leaves that you want to place on your tree. Notice that we're sort of following the branch line that we created just near the ends and the tips. We've switched to a smaller filbert brush here, and we're going to dot or stamp in some bright red. We've chosen to, again, follow the branches and paint near the tips, but moreover, since we just put down that burnt orange color, we don't want to cover it up entirely, so we're being strategic about where we're placing the red within the orange color as sort of a low light, but also not covering the orange that we placed just recently, because it's still wet, it's still kind of mixing together, and that's fine. Add as much or as little red paint here as you like. You can stop here if you want and leave the branches exposed and leave the tree looking less full if you like. This is probably what the tree would end up looking like in the autumn time, because the leaves are falling off, of course, due to the change in weather. And it's totally your choice as to how bare or full you want this tree to look. So feel free to leave your tree like this or continue on with this tutorial to figure out how to make it look more full. In order to make this style of maple tree look more full, we're going to continue using the colors that we've been using previously, like burnt orange with a touch of white and red, and we'll apply this color or these colors with a medium filbert brush at an angle and sort of lightly tap on color, and we'll move around the tree filling in empty spots. If the colors start to blend together too much for your liking, wait a beat, let the paint dry a little bit, and start working again with a clean brush. At this point, let's switch to deep red, which will be at least 2 parts red and 1 part dark brown. Apply this color strategically using a filbert brush as we have previously. This is going to act as a low light for our tree. Once you've completed this step and the tree looks as you want, please let your painting dry before moving on. Now that you've let your painting dry a little bit, grab a medium filbert brush, or any size filbert brush you really like, and switch to bright red paint. Apply the paint in patches, as you see here. We'll do the same thing using burnt orange or medium orange. Make sure you're using a clean brush or a smaller filbert brush like we're using here. We're applying the color in patches strategically, as we keep saying, so that we can have highlighted, bold color in patches on this fall maple tree. Here's an alternate method for creating red maple trees. Using a mop brush, lay down lots of bright red. It's going to end up being sort of like an oval or an egg. Switch to a filbert brush. Use deep red paint, which is red plus brown or a dash of black, on the underside of this tree. You can see how we're applying it to the lower left corner. This is going to act as a shadow. Create a simple trunk with the hint of branches using dark brown and a small flat or filbert brush. Switch to a small round brush. Apply bright red to soften the outer edges on the top and sides of this tree. To maintain the boldness of color in your imagery, it's time to let your painting dry before moving on. Mix bright red with a touch of white. Apply this color to the top as we have using a filbert brush. This will create highlights and dimension. Switch to a small filbert brush. Mix burnt orange with a touch of white. Apply this color where you haven't painted bright red previously. Next, we'll mix red and dark brown or a touch of black to create deep red. Apply this color using a stamping motion to a few spots on the underside of the tree. Awesome job! You're finished with this tutorial. Thanks for joining us. If this video helped you today, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more painting videos just like this.